just be really awkward just by ourselves. I'm really happy that you're here. Hello. Yay, more people too. Welcome, come on in. Yeah, yes. These are the most comfortable seats right here. This is the happy seat. No one trusts us on that piece of information. Welcome to this talk. My name is Belino Raffy, and the invitation is let's make Earth great again, and not be preachy about it, just be kind. What I do is I teach a lot of sustainability and social equity people improvisation, and also a nice form of stand-up comedy. So I'm going to speak briefly about kind of what is that about, and I'm going to hand over to the gorgeous Anna Beksh. It always makes me feel like Sean Connery when I say Beksh. And she's going to talk about of Service 8. She organized this evening, and she's going to talk a bit about design. We're going to talk together. We're going to invite you to do some activities that might be useful for you to take back really gently if you want to. If you can stand up after a nice day, you'll see how you feel. And then we're going to sort of talk all together in the end, and then we'll go to the bar. So how does that sound for the flow of the thing? Okay, does it sound okay? Okay, cool. Yeah, so we said thank you for being here. We were getting a little worried, like everybody's in the mountains or at the sea now, and they're not gonna. So yes, so give us. I'm curious. This call is to summon a tribe of people in Slovenia, in Ljubljana, who have the same values but might be in very different tribes. Yeah, because make Earth great again. Like, what does that mean to you guys? Why are you here? Thank you for coming. But so who works? Does anybody work with explicitly with environmental stuff? Okay, and you group together. That's very nice. Okay. Do you know each other? No. Okay. Okay. This is cool. This is who you can talk to after the at the bar. This is good. So who does anybody work in like social justice, society type stuff? No. Okay. Does anybody work in food? Sorry, I know one person. Like organic growing or agriculture, trying to be more sustainable with food, something like that. You're not going to raise your hand, really? How would? Not explicitly, tangentially. Okay. And there's other lovely people. Like, do you just like Earth? Like, like, which is fine, and you're very welcome. I'm curious what your interest is in here. So I'm part American and part French, and I lived in England for a long time. This makes me Canadian, I think, this combination. And in the U.S. there's this "Make America Great Again," and also in England they're having this like island focus Brexit thing and a lot of counter movements. But I just wanted to be a playful thing of like, what happens if we make Earth great again, and what does that mean, and what does that look like? And one of the things that I'm noticing, so in working with lots of sustainability people, I've worked with activists, I've worked with institutions. There's a certain thing we're noticing about how we communicate, because the implications of some of the things that are happening to Earth are scary. And it's very easy to shut out because it's so overwhelming. So one of the things that I do is I use improvisation because it's a technology to help people who are afraid to be grounded and connected and present, and also to navigate the unknown. So I'm like, okay, this is the great technology. Raise your hand if you saw An Inconvenient Truth with Al Gore, that film that, yeah, okay. Did you sort of see the film? That seems like a yes or no. Did you see part of the film? Part of the film, okay, good. I had a very weird reaction to watching that film. This film, if you don't know it, it's by a guy who was vice president of the United States, and he's talking about all the data of going through what's happening to our Earth. And for some people, it was a real wake-up call of we have to do stuff, right? We have to start treating the Earth more kindly and all of this stuff. For me, I'm sitting in the audience at the end of it, and I really wanted to get into a Hummer, which I don't have. and go shopping while the stuff is still here. Like, it really put me in my lizard brain of fight or flight. And at that point, I have an MBA, I'd worked for a bank, and then I was working for myself, teaching improv to organizations to kind of improve business as usual, creativity, that sort of thing. And for me, that was that switch of, holy shit, we need to change how we're talking about sustainability, because we're going to very easily turn people off. We need to put it in a way that people don't get into their lizard brain, because also when we're afraid, we are not creative. And we need to be the most creative, most collaborative that we've ever been in the world. So let me give you just a quick hint of where it's gone. So there's a global group called the Applied Improvisation Network. There's thousands of members. I was on the board of directors for 6 years. They have very cool conferences. And one of the things that they did was I saw somebody. I was at a degrowth conference. Has anybody? I know one person has heard of degrowth conference. It's about kind of how do we be more sustainable? How do we get people from different disciplines together to talk about how do we do this better? And there was a guy named Pablo Suarez at this degrowth conference, who's one of the top climate scientists for the Red Cross Climate Center. And I saw he was using games to help people understand what was happening with climate predictions. And I lovingly chased him. I stalked him for about 2 years, lovingly. And I said, please come to one of our conferences, because what the applied improvisation does is going to make what you do even stronger, because of this nature of improv is freedom within a structure. And within that, we can co-create magical things together. So it's not just about responding to unexpected stuff, but it's also about co-creating. And so we then created a program with the Red Cross Climate Center and something called IIED, the International Institute of Environment and Development. They have a side event of the COP, the UN climate conference thing, and it's D&C Days, Development and Climate Days. It's known as being more interactive, which I promise we'll get to very soon, because I feel like I'm talking way too much. What we did was we designed interactivity of it. So usually it's death by PowerPoint, and they can actually tell when a presentation at the COP happens because the Wi-Fi peaks, because the moment somebody starts presenting, everybody's on their phone, like, and they can see, like the IT guys for the COP can always see, oh, somebody started presenting again, because people just shut off. And it's like, why are we sending people from around the world to a conference where they just shut off? That doesn't make any sense. These are our best hope for sorting this stuff out, right? And why are we doing that? Doesn't make any sense. So D&C Days is a side event. We're trying to get people from different disciplines to really hash out how do we do climate adaptation better, and how do we do disaster risk reduction better. So the sort of true terms of how do we respond as countries in a better way. So they're explicitly using improv now to help people get to know each other. And they're doing things like what we could do now, actually. And then so if you could look around and see if you find one person that you can be in an obvious pair with for just a few moments. Can you look around? Who could you be in an obvious pair with for just a few moments? Great. And you too, if you would like to play, or you can come up here. Do you have a preference? Anna, you want to take... Yeah, or you come up here and we'll model what it is. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. My invitation is to please stand up. Please stand up. You're already standing. Well done. If you could face her, she's your partner. If you guys could stand up. Fabulous. Stand up in the back. There we go. Okay, so what you're going to do, this is co-creation with the training wheels on. Training wheels on a bike. This is co-creation with the training wheels on. So you're going to face your partner. And you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's going to look like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Really hard, right? Okay. Please have a go. Try it. model keep. I think it's okay. Okay. Yeah, could somebody please close the door? Thank you very much. Okay, so now we're going to adapt with the times. The times are changing. So instead of saying one, you're going to clap. But you're still going to say two, and you're still going to say three. This is going to be harder with microphones. All right, on your mark. It's like three, two, three. It looks like that. Yeah? Go. Don't say one, you just clap. Good. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yay. Very cool. You got it there. You got it in the end. Clap 2, 3, clap 2, 3 is the thing. Okay. We're who messed up in that second round where it was a clap and a 2 and a 3? Did it? Yes, brave people in the back. Yes. This is where most people mess up, right? So instead of feeling bad about it, feeling awkward, both of you are going to brace the joy of we're in a safe space, we're doing something new. We've messed up. Woohoo! Is what you're going to do, and then you're going to start over again. So if either of you hesitate or mess up, the invitation is both of you go woohoo and start over again. It's really important that both of you woohoo, because it feels very sad when only one of you woohoos and the other's like, heh. So please, both of you woohoo. Clap 2, 3, clap 2, 3, and if you mess up, woohoo, and keep going. Go. Okay, you guys are very precise. We've had a few woohoos and then it stopped. So I would say that if you haven't woohooed, you're probably taking it a bit too carefully, and you might want to speed up just a little bit, just to stretch your ability and see what happens. Okay, so again, instead of saying 1, you're clapping, right? Instead of saying 2, now you snap, but you still say 3. And again, if you mess up or hesitate, both of you woohoo. Is that clear? Do you want to? Yeah. 3. You got it. Go. Okay, fantastic. We have another shift, but I would like to do a sound check with you guys, because your woohoos are very timid. It's like, woohoo. And just for the purposes, like, this is being streamed, but they're pointing at us, so nobody's going to see you, like, because it's pointed at the stage, right? Mostly. Maybe little heads, they'll see that. The invitation is to really embrace the woohoo, and there's a reason for it. There's a psychological reason for it. So we will tell you what it is. So just on the count of 3, if all of us could woohoo at the proper volume that we're after. 1, 2, 3. Woohoo! That's what we want to hear. Okay, fantastic. Right. Last round. A 1 is still a clap, so let's hear it. 2 is a snap. 3 is a little shimmy dance. And if you mess up, woohoo! Go. Nice, nice. Last one. Face your partner. look at your lovely partner and count with the numbers again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. See how it goes. Go. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. Have a seat. How did it feel to do that? How did it feel? Awesome. Nice. Cool. It's enjoyable to do that. Did anybody have a preference for the numbers? For saying the numbers? 1, 2, 3. Did anybody have a preference? Sometimes say, yeah. Okay, great. Did anybody have a preference for all movement? When it was clap, snap, shimmy? Yeah. Who had a preference for that? And did anybody have a preference for the mix? For doing some of each? Okay, cool. So there's certain preferences in how these map onto how we like to receive our information. Some people like more discrete information. So data, facts, figures, things that we can count and easily latch onto in terms of how many there are and finite borders. And some people are more flowy and they are more kinesthetic. So they process the world by moving around. And there's a lot of woohoos in the middle because we're not used to working the bridge. We're not used to doing both sides. And what did the woohoo feel like? What was useful about having the woohoo? Empowering. Empowering in what way?
Freedom and relaxation, and you feel release.
A release, freedom, relaxation, absolutely. And I'm just saying this so it goes into the into the live streaming. Cool. Really nice. And yeah, absolutely. Because if we were like really pissed off with our partner because they messed up, that the joy would stop very quickly, wouldn't it? And here's the thing, like we probably don't want to, if we have a surgeon, if we're going through surgery, we probably don't want our surgeon to go woohoo right in front of us if something goes wrong. And we also don't want them to disconnect if they've created a problem and be in their head going, oh, Jesus, I can't believe I did this. I'm such a crap surgeon. Yeah? So if you're a perfectionist, practicing that activity of 1, 2, 3 and woohoo is really important because it allows you, especially if you're trying to create something new where we don't know what the right answer looks like. We know what we'd like it to be, but we actually don't know how to create some of the environmental beauty, some of the social beauty that we want until we start doing it, until we have to adapt with what happens with other groups of people. We're in a complex adaptive system. Yeah. So that's the other reason it's short turn taking. We try something and we respond. We try something, we notice, we respond. And if you have the woohoo, sometimes we need the inner woohoo. So if we mess up, at work, maybe don't go up to your boss and go, woohoo! But if you can have like a poker face and do the inner woohoo, that was interesting. You're right back to being present and able to fix the situation. Does that make sense? And I think we need to, even more so in environmental stuff, practice that skill. Because if we're perfectionists trying to do some linear solution, we're going to burn ourselves out really quickly. Does that make sense? Because we know, again, what we want. We just don't know what it looks like yet. So can you just raise your fist in the air for a second and hold it there? Can you do the same fist in the air? And nice lady with the hair. Yes, good. Can you do it as well? Okay, so we have a triangle, right? Hold it for about 1 minute. We have a triangle model there's a model by a guy named Robert Poynton, and he uses a triangle model of what are the core capabilities of improv. So this lovely lady with the flowers in her hair is let go, and it's about letting go of behaviors or thought patterns that are not serving us in the moment. This nice guy here is notice more. Notice more about the environment, about how we feel, about our partners, about whatever it is, but noticing more that can possibly help us as we try to navigate the unknown. And this lovely guy here is use everything, or at least use more because you've noticed it. Now, in the center of the triangle, so maybe if you could just give us a wave. Yeah, the lady looking back. Yeah, if you just give us a wave. Lovely. So she's representing everything's an offer. So what we're trying to do is let go, notice more, use everything, and realize that what comes up is an offer. You're doing fine. You've established where you are. Okay, now everybody can put their hands down. So I love that model. I live in Berlin, and I'm very rebellious because I have no tattoos. But if I had a tattoo, it would be of this model, because I think it's such a nice expression of what are we doing when we improvise. We are able to let go of habitual behaviors that are not serving us in this moment. We're able, when you did 1, 2, 3, you were taking control, then letting go of control, taking control, letting go. You could totally go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, all by yourself. You didn't need somebody else to do that. But what you were practicing was letting go of control. Does that make sense? For people who, if they mess up, would normally beat themselves up, you were letting go of that need by going woohoo and celebrating it. You were also noticing what your partner was giving you, and you were responding to that. So you were using it. Sometimes what we're responding to is external offers. We're trying to say yes and more often. And sometimes what we're responding to is this doesn't feel right. All the kids on the climate march are going, this doesn't feel right. We're not moving fast enough, yeah? And that's what they were responding, accepting, and building on. I think, how are we doing? Oh, God, sorry. Can you tell us a little bit about design and kind of how that slots into make Earth great again, or might?
Yeah, hey, my name is Anna Kiro, as Belina said earlier. I'm a service designer. Does anyone know what that is? Has anyone heard of? Thank you. Have you heard of graphic design? Yeah. So you can imagine what a graphic designer does, or an industrial designer. Can you imagine, like, chairs that you're sitting on? And I guess you sort of know what services are, right? You can give example of services, like the hairdressers, or public transport, or healthcare system. And those can be designed as well. So like you can design visual images, like you can design objects, you can also design interactions and processes and stuff like that. So that is what I try to do. And how this connects is that we use improv, and we use these techniques to help people co-create better. Service design is based on co-creation, so putting different people with different expertise together to solve a problem or a challenge. And it's about empathy, it's about who is going to use this service. So we try to start to understand who is at the end and what their problem is, and then how can we solve that problem with our service or offer. It's all about experimenting. So we know that the business as usual, as stuff was done before, is not helping us anyway because things are changing too fast. So experimentation is one of the ways how service design tries to solve that. And it's about creativity. And all these things are difficult. It's difficult to co-create. It's difficult to be empathetic. It's difficult to experiment, especially if you're a perfectionist. And this is how we use improv techniques in our work to let go of these things so we can really, truly do amazing services. So, yeah.
You said something cool about neuroscience and empathy.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was?
I remember. So my hobby is reading books about neuroscience and psychology, and I try to incorporate that into my daily work. And I just read a book called Social, Why Are We Wired to Connect? And they did experiment. So basically now we have new technology that can monitor our brains and how they work. And they sort of found out that there are 3 things that need to happen in order for empathy to happen. So empathy means that we feel like somebody else feels and we want to help them, right? And the 3 steps that are there are, the first thing is, have you heard of mirroring neurons? So that we have mirroring neurons. Like, for instance, if somebody yawns, that you yawn as well, right? Even dogs do that, by the way, fun fact. So that's the first thing. So we need mirroring neurons in order so we can copy the physicality of the other person. Fun fact, another fun fact. So if you have Botox injected in your face, it temporarily weakens your muscles, so you cannot do the mirroring because your face is sort of stiff, right? The second thing that has to happen, so now first we're copying, our physicality is copying. Second thing that is going on is feeling. So we're copying the emotions. We're trying to feel what the other person is feeling. If you think about it, it's pretty weird that we can watch movies of people being happy and we're happy. It's a movie. They're not even there, but we can feel the happiness. So that's the second thing. Here it can go really wrong, because if it's too much, we can get either scared or really angry. If it's too overwhelming, we're just going to block everything because we cannot process that much of emotions. So if we have successfully mirrored, if we have successfully felt what the other person is feeling and it's not too much, the third thing that has to happen is that we want to help them. So it's this feeling of connection, of trying to help that person get out of that state or making it better. And then the interesting thing is that our brains are not like 0 or 1, so our neurons are not either working or not working, but they warm up, right? So you can warm up your brains. Like you, earlier when you were doing the 1, 2, 3, you were waking up a little bit more. I think with laughter and everything, you have a little bit more focus. So you trained that thing in your brain. And with empathy, it's the same. So for instance, the most important part in service design is research. So understanding who are we designing for? Who are we solving this problem for? And when you go and research, you want to be empathetic, right? So you want to understand how that person is feeling. You want to understand their context, right? And if we can practice our empathetic neurons and that stuff before we go and research, we're going to be better at it. And it's these things that they make so much sense. I mean, we know that they work, but now that I have like how they work, it really makes sense why this is so important and why this is not just having fun or being playful or being silly, but it actually has measurable effects. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Can I talk a little bit about sustainable stand-up mapping onto what?
Yeah.
Cool. So,
please.
So do you remember? There was Notice More. Yeah. So I was working with a bunch of sustainability people, and what I noticed about them, a lot of them were burning out. Okay. A lot of them were burning out, and because they were noticing more about their environment than most people do, and they didn't have a practice to also find the lightness. So for the past few years, I've created a really kind form of stand-up comedy for those people, for anybody who wants to make the world a better place. And where I'm getting people over 6 weeks is, I love myself, I love the audience, this is silly, the system's silly. And my cunning plan is to have the people who come through this course be the most adorable, smart, funny self, talking about things that really matter and making us laugh at the tangential stuff so that the heavier stuff lands, so that we don't block it and be overwhelmed by it in terms of what Anna was saying. But because we're laughing at something connected to it, the heavy thing can land. So I'll give you an example. In one of my first courses, we had a NASA climate scientist who was a carbon expert. And you know how especially early on in the environmental movement, polar bears were the poster animal for sustainability. And he had to go to the Arctic to do core samples. And to do his job, he had to go through intense training on what to do if a polar bear came and tried to eat the scientists. So how to kill a polar bear in self-defense, and then take its body to the authorities to prove he wasn't trophy hunting. And here his whole values is, I want to protect life on the planet, but to do that he had to learn how to shoot a polar bear in the face and take its body to the authorities, which is just silly. So he came up with a stand-up comedy routine, which had that in it. So within that we could hear, yes, there are people who are going around the world and taking core samples because our temperatures are changing and we need to get those readings. And because he had us laugh at something connected with that, we could process that heavier information. Does that make sense? So I've been running this. I ran it so far 28 times across 8 countries. And I also noticed that, God bless them, particularly young activists, the really angry ones, are burning themselves out, and they're finding it really difficult for people to listen to them because they're so angry that everybody just kind of runs away. It's really difficult to empathize and engage with somebody who's on fire angry. So what I'm trying to do is help them connect with what's the beautiful thing behind your anger and share that as your comedy, as your presentations, whatever it is. So with that in mind, can you think of something that pisses you off? And if we have a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is it doesn't really piss you off and 10 is you're on fucking fire, pick a 6 in terms of the scale. I'm talking like bad design of metro doors in Montreal, because I could rant about that for an entire minute. Who has something that they might be able to share and rant with your partner for about a minute? Does everybody have something? Because we're going to do an activity now, and it's called the rant. How do you say that in Slovene? So that.
Yeah, sort of. Pritoževanje.
Okay.
Sort of it.
It's going to look like this. We'll be in pairs in a moment, and one of you, and we're going to pick the shorter person to do the rant first, because it's a bit intimidating to have a tall person shout at you. But they're not shouting at you, they're sharing with you the thing that pisses them off, and they're sharing it with energy, right? So when you're going, me as a facilitator and Anna as a facilitator, we might go more anger, because that grumpiness will drive content. Let's give you a short example of what this is going to look like in a minute. So in your couple, in a moment, one of you is going to complain with energy. Am I complaining or are you complaining? Oh, I'm complaining. Okay, fine. I hate going first. God, it pisses me off. I don't know what to do, and I'm not sure where the line is, and I just want to do it, it's diving into the unknown, and it's I know I teach this, which is just really irritating, but I don't want to go first. And yes. So that's a shorter version of a rant. What do you think? What beautiful things do you think? So your partner's on a treasure hunt. You're just going to complain and be as infantile as you want. Like, I hate going first. It's awful. My mother made me go first. I never understood what to do. I didn't understand the instructions. Whatever it is that you're complaining about, complain about it with energy. Your partner is listening with a very specific lens. Your partner is listening for, based on what you said, here's the beautiful thing I think you care about, right? You, as the grumpy person, ignore that. Don't help them. Just complain and be infantile. So based on my random rant about not wanting to go first, what do you suspect I care about?
I think you want to start with something meaningful, something helpful.
Okay.
So you want to share something that's going to be helpful to others.
Yeah. Cool. Preparation might be in there as well. What else? Being aligned with what I do. So being worried, like I want to be aligned with, I'm teaching improv, I need to be able to do it. I actually do like going first. So I was a little surprised that I sort of went off in that direction. And it might be, I want to give you guys something useful for this exercise. So what the partner is sort of guessing, what's the beautiful thing you want to manifest? What is the beautiful thing you care about based on the infantile rant that you just gave? So if everybody could please stand up and be in their obvious pair. Thank you. Yeah. So again, the shorter person goes first. You're only going to have 1 minute to complain, and then I'll hit a bell. And the other person is on a treasure hunt. This is not... Ooh, hang on 1 second, guys. Woo! One moment, please. Guys, sorry. I just want to make sure we're on the same remember, this is not a conversation. One person is just complaining with energy for an entire minute, and then I'm going to ring the bell, and then the other person is going to share what they thought. So, the shorter person, are you ready and grumpy? On your mark, get set, go! 20 more seconds. 20 more seconds. Five, four, three, two, one. Okay, right. Thank you very much. Okay, so now, shake it off. Grumpy person, shake it off. Right. Now, the other person, you have 30 seconds to say, based on what you said, here's what I think you care about. Go. This is no choice. Wasn't it shuttle? So I don't know if you want to rant with him. We'll do it the other way. It's okay, debrief, and then we'll. Yeah. Is there anything else that you wanted to say? No. I just wanted to say that we have time. Right? Just a. So, how did it? That's really cool. Lots of smiling faces. This is really nice. What resonated with you that your partner shared? So, short people. What were you told by the slightly taller people that resonated with you? Oh, come on. So you said something, guys. What did you say? What qualities do we have in the room? What beautiful qualities do we have in the room?
Yeah, she's passionate about hiking.
She's passionate about hiking. Cool.
And coming to the goal.
And coming to the goal, like goal-oriented. Nice. Very cool. And probably connected with hiking, there might be things about nature and about. So we're on a treasure hunt for what do we think the cluster of lovely things are that these people care about. What else? Anything else in the room? Beautiful things that people care about here. What happened with you guys? Compassion, nice. Compassion and hiking, that's a good combination, isn't it? That's very cool. Cool. So we're going to do now the what is lovingly referred to as the revenge round. So now the taller person is going to be grumpy and complain about something that really pisses them off for a full minute, and the other person is on that treasure hunt. Is it clear how it goes? Is everybody clear how the activity works? Okay. Are you ready? Tall people, are you grumpy? On your mark, get set, go! I agree. Just as much as I can. Okay, right? Fantastic. Right now 30 seconds to share back. So the shorter person sharing to the taller person. Here's the beautiful things based on what you said, here are the beautiful things I think you care about. Go. Okay. Cool. Let's hear some more beautiful qualities in the room. The call was make Earth great again. You would expect that people have some nice qualities in here. So what are some that you discovered? Caring. Did I hear caring? To take care of something. Yeah. Like the Earth, like the call. Nice. Somebody raise their hand in the back.
She also said that I care about how people feel around me.
Ah, great. So you care about how people feel. Did that resonate with you?
Yes, very much.
Nice. Sometimes, so this has saved marriages. This activity is very useful at Christmas with your family. It takes a lot of energy to be angry. And often certain groups are told not to be angry. Being angry is wrong. Especially women in certain societies are told don't be angry, but men as well, don't be angry. And if we're angry and we leave it at that level, but we don't allow ourselves to be angry, we turn it inward, that becomes depression. Not great for us. So if we can shine that lens of, if you notice yourself getting angry, what's the beautiful thing I care about? It tends to take the heat out of it, and it gives you a positive, not on fire thing to go towards. Does that make sense? This also shifts how you interact with people who are very angry. Because if you can practice this lens, so I've been teaching this course, and as part of it on stand-up comedy, and we do this in the first class, basically. And I say it's not to create an angry form of stand-up at all, because anger does not help us connect. What we're trying to do is identify those gorgeous qualities and values that you have, share that in your comedy set. Get those across. So caring and hiking and things like that. How do you get that across in a way that people, it helps you be your most adorable self. Yes. So what did you do? Where do you think you might be able to use this lens? So you've just practiced the muscle. Where do you think you might be able to use it in work, in life?
In all areas of life, with your relationships.
Yes. Yeah.
Studies or in the job, everywhere. If people only rephrase the situation happening to them.
Yeah.
And truly share more empathy and more kindness, everything would work.
Beautiful. So for the live stream, she said everything. Everything is kind of the sum up of what she. Fantastic. Absolutely. So here's why I love teaching improv skills. Here's why it lets me work with lovely people from different disciplines, from service design, from all different, is because it's fractal. So anybody who studied biology, there are certain patterns that keep showing up in nature. And if you look at a head of broccoli, the same pattern is repeated several times. Our human need to improvise is repeated several times in our life. So if we learn improvisation skills to be better sustainability experts, if we learn it to be better service designers, we still have the skills and the mindset to be better if when we go home and play with kids, when we have unprecedented weather happening in Ljubljana and we have to respond. So it's the same skill set, it's the same practice. It's just, and it can be used for many different things. Cool. Another reason that I got into this was, yes, let's sit down. I was in England, and I don't know if you've heard of transition towns, but it's people who've like decided we're going to live super sustainably over here in this field, wherever they are. And the early ones were so like, everybody else is wrong and stupid, and we're going to live over here. And I'm like, wow, if that's what it takes to be enlightened, I'd like to die with the happy people over here. Like, it was so intense. And so part of what I'm trying to do is what they care about is beautiful. The intensity is shutting people off. So how do we articulate the stuff that we really care about in ways that engage people, that they can do stuff with? Anna.
Yeah. I wanted to say something about the sustainable stand-up course that is upcoming in April. One thing that really got me, it hooked me. So there's a stand-up at the end of the course, obviously. Can you tell us why?
Yeah, lovely, thank you. The people who come into the course, 99% of them have never done stand-up comedy before. Many of them are introverts. Many of them are introverts. They actually make the best stand-up comedians. The reason we have a show is because it's a metaphor. Because the whole course, we're preparing people to be generous and kind in the lead up to something that's inherently scary, stand-up show. And if they can if they can solve how to do that for themselves and each other in the course with our help, I feel like they're in a much better position to get audiences through taking on board the scary implications of whatever aspect of changing the world and helping support it, make it better, taking on board what's happening with our environment. I feel like it's for me, it's a metaphor. If we can work out how to face our fears with the show and be kind and generous and playful, we can do it in other places as well.
So yeah, it's like feeling the fear throughout the course, but dealing with it. Yeah. And still trying to
in positive ways,
in a positive way. And so that really got me, because it wouldn't, like, if there was no show, there would be no fear, so you're not really practicing it, right?
Exactly.
That hooked me.
And here's the thing that people don't realize about the show. The people in the course are told, invite your nicest friends to the show. And because you're like, the friends have never seen them do stand-up comedy, they don't know about the course, their expectations are really low. And we blow them away every single show, which is really nice. We actually just did a level 2 in Australia in the Fringe Festival. We had 6 sold-out shows in the Fringe Festival based on this course. So again, it's been run 28 times across 8 countries. And the other nice thing about it is, because there's been nice people who have a new idea about parenting next to a climate scientist, next to a humanitarian worker, next to somebody who works for a bank but wants to do good in the world, and we're all mixing. And it's really nice to have that richness, that diversity. I think, should we hand over to these guys? And we're like, okay, so we've been going for a while now. We have a few more minutes. Talk to us, but do you have any questions? Do you have any insights? What would you like to share in service of Make Earth Great Again?
Well, I think I think that one of the ways how to take care of to make people realize the importance of ecology is to write poetry. I write poetry, and most of my motives are about the nature, about the beauty of the nature, because I would really like to share with people this joy of being in the nature, of observing the beauty of the nature. And I think that this is one of the ways that you can work on it, or through any of the arts. For example, I have a friend who is a painter, and she she paints the trees, and it's also, I mean, her intention is to bring to the people this beauty.
Beautiful, absolutely. And what's so cool is in more and more of the climate conferences of whatever flavor of making the world safer, responding to what's happening with the world, there are more and more artists being commissioned to do stuff as part of the conference. That's what I'm seeing. Like, it's really rising that they have spoken word, and they have more and more improv, and they have people doing forum theater to, like, what might be different in our conferences if we really wanted life to thrive on the planet. How do we swap out some of these old behaviors? Poetry. There's sculptures now, like, depicting the different temperature rises in different places. That's beautiful. Thank you. Stand-up comedy is a related art form. Cool. Who else? Anybody else? Maybe the lady behind you? No. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I really liked everything that was said today, especially because I think that happiness and joy can only create, not only, but there's a much higher chance they will create something good than anger. And I think promoting that is actually what sustainability in the end is all about. So, and it goes to artists, to activists, to everyone. Anger really is not an answer, even if it's for a good cause. I think it's not sustainable in the end.
Here. I think people will go, like, individuals will go through stages where they're angry, where they're feeling overwhelmed or something like that. Those feelings, for me, don't have a place when you're trying to engage others with you. You can't be. So there's the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross grief curve. It's a U, and it basically she noticed that people who have somebody close to them go through different stages when somebody dies, and it's about denial and fear and anger and depressions at the bottom, and then you have experimentation and kind of moving on with your life. And you can't, for me, a lot of sustainability people were sort of caught in the anger bit, and they were really pissed off at the denial people, but it was a real judgment against them, like, you're stupid, you're in denial, which is also not an attractive invitation. Be like us, we're judgmental and angry, like, that doesn't so I feel like we're human. There's huge stuff happening. Of course we have to have some healing time, some processing time when it hits us. I worked with a magical guy named Tolu, who was trying to clean what cleaning means. And he had CEO's apprentice with his cleaners for 3 days to notice what came up with for them. And I noticed when I went on it, when a dust cloth, if you're dusting your house, but if your dust cloth is full of dust, you're just moving dust around, yeah? And if we think about, we have an inner dust cloth, and if we think of dust as fear, if we don't have a practice to clean our inner dust cloth, we're just moving fear around and, like, spreading it everywhere. So it's like, sounds like the way you clean your inner dust cloth is poetry. Some of it's like, how do we come to the situation clean so that we can actually engage from a nice space? Do you have anything you'd like to?
Well, So yeah, it's an invitation. We have here a list. So yeah, the next course is starting on April the 9th.
Sorry, yeah.
Can I tell it?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So the first four courses are done online, so every Tuesday. And then 2 courses are done in person, so a 3-hour 3-hour workshop, then it's the show, and then it's an evaluation. Reflection, sorry.
Yes. You can evaluate it too, but it's a reflection.
So here we have a list that you can sign up if you're interested. So it doesn't mean that you're applying for it, but it means that you're interested. What that means is that you'll receive an email with more information. We also have some flyers here with some information with the dates and hours and everything.
It's in Slovene too. You'll be able to read it, and I can't. It's great.
So if anyone is interested, if not, still you can just write your name if you want to keep up with what we do, I guess. Belina's coming back in May. I'm guessing she's going to come back more. We're going to do more awesome stuff. And like, stay around, let's say, and let's go for drinks. And if you have more questions, we can do it out of the camera. Away from the camera.
Have the eye of the camera. Thank you to Anna and Service 8 for organizing this. Thank you for...
Pritliče.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Anna, for pronouncing Pritliče for me. Thank you for hosting us. It's been really lovely to be here. Thank you guys for coming. It's been a real delight to work with you. Thank you very much. Let's hang out in the next room. Did Peter come?